I was seriously thinking about council even before chat closed, just because I thought it could make a difference. And ultimately, that's the reason I decided to run, is I thought I could make a difference. I know I can make a difference.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch, brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Joining me now on the porch, a very familiar face, former Chat TV anchor, Dan Reynish. Welcome, Dan.
Do we tell people we used to work together, or do we just? Oh yeah, no. Go. It's good to see you. It's good to be here with you, man. I tell you, I miss seeing you every day.
We used to have our political discussions every day in the newsroom.
Every day, and we would talk news, sports, weather, but eventually it would always boil down to politics.
Yep, and you told me back in July that you were considering a run for city council.
Yeah.
And you did take the big step. You've, I guess in the words of Garth Brooks, instead of standing outside the fire, you stepped into the fire.
Oh, I've also got friends in low places too. We could quote Garth Brooks all day. When I told you I was thinking about running, were you surprised?
No, I've seen it before. I recall when I worked in Calgary and covered city council in Calgary in the mid-'70s, and there was another reporter that sat next to me who got into politics. His name is Ralph Klein.
Ralph, whatever happened to him?
He did something for a while, and then yeah. So,
I've got to tell you, I'm glad to hear that it wasn't a surprise for you for that reason. I've been talking with a lot of people, as you would imagine, and it hasn't been a surprise to anybody. I mean, once chat closed, what was Dan Reynish going to do? And I will not speak of myself in the third person more than 4 times during our chat. But what was I going to do next? And I was seriously thinking about council even before chat closed, just because I thought it could make a difference. And ultimately, that's the reason I decided to run, is I thought I could make a difference. I know I can make a difference.
I had people ask me, Brian, you should run. And I said, no. I want people to like me.
I've had some of that too. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely more online, as you would expect, than face to face. But there's definitely some people that do not like Dan and do not miss Chat TV.
And you're always going to find that.
Absolutely. And they don't get me down. They won't get me down. I'm going to run. I hope to be running a positive campaign, and anything negative that I say with experienced criticism.
Our good friend Jim Groom, a political scientist who's been a guest here on the porch, we talked about name recognition and how that affects the voters. Yeah. And it does play an impact, because as they're going down the list, I know that name.
Yeah.
But you have the name recognition, but we need to know what the substance is behind the name. So that's why you're here today.
I might have the name recognition, but remember, my name is pronounced Reynish, but it's spelled Reynish. And so there might be some people who might not know what's the right name to check. And the interview that you did with Jim was great. He made some great points about name recognition and about the ballot, and the fact that most people go in with only 3 or 4 names of people they want to vote for, and the rest is just guessing. And Jim's point about the fact that your ballot is not spoiled if you don't fill out 8. Jim made some great points. But yeah, I'm here to talk with you about the substance over the style or the name recognition.
I've referred to that ballot and the fact that you have up to 8 choices as being one of the rarest forms of currency in Medicine Hat right
Absolutely. Now. It's one of the only forms right now.
So tell me and tell our viewers and listeners why they should spend one of their votes on Dan Reynish.
You know, one of the main things that I'm running, the platform, part of my platform is mental health. Mental health is a big issue. My mother suffered from it, and just even driving here to the studio, you see people out in the parks in Medicine Hat, and I met a woman the other day while I was out campaigning who works in an office that many of us go into all the time, and she lives in her car. And when I was talking with her about, well, why don't, presenting her with a few options, why do you live in your car? And she said, it's just easier right now to live in her car. And in Medicine Hat, it's my belief that if somebody wants help in Medicine Hat, there's some great organizations that are in play here that can help people, but not everybody wants help. My godmother used to say you can throw a life preserver to somebody who's drowning, but that doesn't mean they're going to grab it. So mental health is important because we want to make sure that even those people who don't necessarily want to grab the rope, we want to make sure that they can get some help, and the help has to go to them. And I'm not necessarily speaking go to them as in meet them in the park or wherever they're staying. The help has to be available to them. It has to be something they're comfortable doing, because most people I find that don't want help just want to be left alone. They don't want the government to be infringing on their rights. They just want to be left alone. And when I speak about mental health in and around Medicine Hat, I'm also talking about giving the citizens something to do. For instance, the Big Marble Ghost Center is tremendous. I use it almost every day, but people keep saying we need a pool in the South End. We need a pool in the South End. And that's great for people's mental health. But also the shows that play at the Esplanade and Co-op place, we need to make sure there's enough for people to do in Medicine Hat so that they feel great about Medicine Hat. I mean, you know that I think Medicine Hat is one of the greatest cities in the world. We need to keep people's mental health strong so that it stays that way. And in addition to mental health, I want to bring more business to Medicine Hat. I want to make businesses know that coming to Medicine Hat is a good decision, because you can count on the city council and you can count on the fact that it's difficult right now to open a business in Medicine Hat. It costs so much money. So we need to lower the fees that businesses have to spend to come to Medicine Hat. And we also need to continue to build the confidence in people that coming to Medicine Hat is a great decision. Why come to Medicine Hat? Why not go to Lethbridge? Why not just stay in Calgary? Well, there's so many great reasons to come to Medicine Hat. And I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be a civic advocate. I'm going to be a cheerleader for all things Medicine Hat, talking with people and business about coming to Medicine Hat and staying here.
One of the threads in the Chamber of Commerce candidates forum for the councillors was affordability. Mm-hmm. And it links back to jobs. It links back to people being unhoused and out on the street. Some have related that to the crime. It seems like there's a circle here. Where do you see a solution?
The solution comes from helping people. The people are out on the street. They need to take care of themselves. They need to steal in order to live, and thus in order to do drugs. So it all boils back down to mental health. We've talked with the police chief many times about how do you solve the downtown crime. And he has said, and I agree with him, that it's not an easy overnight answer. There's communities across North America trying to figure out how you solve this problem. And it is something that the city needs to work with the police force, with the mental health of people. And so we need to, it all starts with mental health.
A lot of people, some of the candidates have suggested they have to stop the catch and release, like the police will go out and arrest them and then they're right back out on the street again. And that relates to upper levels of government. But do we have enough room in the jails? Do we have enough, time in the courts, lawyers, all of that stuff? Yeah. And, the reference has been, well, we need more help from the province. We need more help from the federal government. The thing that they don't seem to realize is that there's only one taxpayer. And whether it's the federal government, the provincial government, or the municipal government, they're all taking it out of my pocket.
Yeah.
And so how do we afford all that?
It simply boils down to, and again, the catch and release thing is a tremendously huge issue, and it's one that's worth talking about on multiple levels for multiple reasons. But I personally believe that it's being done because it needs to be done. You can't clog up the jails. You can't clog up the system. The system itself needs to keep rolling through. If you need a court date anywhere in Alberta right now, sometimes you're waiting 18 months, 6 months. You have to wait a long time to get a court date. So should the community be housing and feeding criminals during those 6 or 18 months while they wait to get a less than 5-minute court date? So I think it boils down to, well, we have to make the dollar go farther. So communities and organizations, when our family lived in Germany, we lived in an apartment. We never once turned the lights out. When we moved back to Canada and my parents started to pay the electricity bill, it was a whole learning experience. You're not in the room, turn the light off. You're not in the room, turn the stereo off. And you can drive by some of the offices for nonprofits in Medicine Hat on the weekends when they're not open, and you can see their lights are on. So sometimes in order to make those dollars go further, in order to make tax dollars go further, maybe you need to turn the lights off. Make sure everything is turned off and shut down and and just completely shut off. And it is a difficult thing. How do you make money go further? We're all dealing with that. You go to the grocery store, $30 before, it costs $90 now, and you're not getting as much. I used to get 4 or 5 bags of groceries for $30 or $40. Now I get 1, maybe 2. So
and they ask you if this to eat in or take out.
Absolutely, yeah. You go to IGA and they're like, "So you're going to eat that here?" It's like, yes. Yeah. I don't need to take this home. I'll just use the staff microwave.
So how do you see the mustard seed working into this equation?
The mustard seed is a very difficult thing. And remember, the city of Medicine Hat is only one part of the group of people that are making a decision on the mustard seed. The Chamber of Commerce put out a tremendously well-written and well-thought-out position on it. And they're saying that this place, and I agree with them, might not be perfect because it's close to businesses. And it's one of the main things, and we certainly heard a lot about it, was people didn't like where it was because it was next to me. And something that you always said was NIMBY, not in my backyard. People don't want it in their backyard, so the decision is, well, let's move it somewhere out on the highway. Okay, there's still houses out there. There's a big, huge apartment complex out there. And how do people who don't have cars, how do they access that? So while the area that they're looking at does check off some things in the box, and I'm going to be the first to jump in and say there's no right answer. Somebody's going to have to live next door to the mustard seed. Somebody is going to have to live next door to people who are on drugs or unfortunately stealing or doing what they need to do as part of that solution. So where do they put the mustard seed, and how does the mustard seed become part of this equation? Boy, I wish I had that answer for you, Brian.
Yeah, it'd be worth a lot of money.
It would be, and that's such a complicated issue, because we all want the mustard seed. We all want to give people a place to go, a place that they can rely on, that they can have mail delivered to, and get advice, and have a place to sleep, and get something to eat, and feel as if there's something that they can call their own. That's one of the beautiful things about that people always talk about whenever they move into their first home is, I finally have a place to call my own. Mm-hmm. And for most of the people that live on the streets, they're just looking for their little corner. Again, as I said, most of them just want to be left alone, but they're still looking for that ownership, that little thing that they can call their own. And that's why the mustard seed is so important.
One of the big issues that the next council will have to deal with is the utilities, mm-hmm. the MCC, the idea that maybe we remove some of the decision-making from the city councillors and put it into the hands of people who are more learned.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I think we need to keep the electricity in and within the city of Medicine Hat's purveyance right now. Right now. Maybe down the road, the opportunity should come in to let those that are more learned take care of it. But I think right now it's fine the way that it is.
Property taxes and utility rates is another one. Affordability plays into that equation too. There's people who are saying, I can't afford another property tax increase. My utility rates have gone up. I can't do this.
Yeah.
So as a member of the city council, How do you respond to that?
Again, it boils down to each family doing whatever they can to, again, turn the lights out in your home. But that's not the solution here. The solution here is we all want more. We all want more services. We all want more from our municipal government. Well, who's going to pay for it? Yes. Traditionally, the residents and the citizens have had to pay for it. And unfortunately, that's the way it's going to continue to be. Nobody wants a tax. Nobody wants a tax increase. I don't want it. You don't want it. Nobody wants a tax increase. But, you know, the more and more people that I talk to during my campaign have all said they would like there to be a pool or a recreation center in the South End. Now imagine this. Imagine a pool, but also a water park that has the waves that come and go. Not like the Big Marble Go Center has the waves that come and go in the water pool, but like the West Edmonton Mall does. They have that huge water park where you can surf on those waves. Everybody would use it, but who's going to pay for it?
Exactly.
And then maybe it helps Medicine Hat become a destination. So families, instead of driving through Medicine Hat, will stop and spend a couple of hours at our beautiful indoor water park and use the pool. And the entire family can then, we might as well spend the night. So it's all money coming into Medicine Hat, but who's going to pay for it? And that's what you're asking me. You're asking me who's going to pay for it. Well, ultimately, we need to find a way to make it cheaper. And if that is just a matter of turning the lights out, or what do we get rid of in order to bring in the pool? But again, you want it. We want to give it to you. And as a member of Medicine Hat City Council, I'm going to be out there on the front lines talking with people all the time. You know I like to talk to people. You know that's what I enjoy doing. Well, I'm asking questions. What do you want? What would you like to see canceled? Because maybe there's a program or two out there that's getting funding from the city. Maybe we can use that and cut some budgets, and that's part of the job.
Boils down to needs versus wants.
Wants and needs. Those are two tremendous things. But nobody wants to pay more taxes.
So then it's incumbent upon the city administration and council to go through the budget line by line and say, do we need this? Can we move this money somewhere else? Unfortunately, sometimes that means people lose their jobs.
That is an unfortunate thing about if you're cutting a budget. And again, nobody wants to pay for it. Nobody wants to lose their jobs. Nobody wants to have to tell, for instance, and I'm not saying that I would cut the library, but does the library need to have CDs and movies to rent out to people in a streaming day and age? So we continue to buy books for the library, which makes sense, and everything that the library does. And again, I'm just putting it out there as a hypothetical. So is that some place that we can spend? So if you're going through it line by line, you want as somebody who lost their job as recent as a few months ago, there is nothing good that usually comes from losing your job. And so the amount of job losses would have to be on a lesser level. But sometimes progress means moving forward, and moving forward means job cuts.
One of the things that you also have available as a member of City Council is to attract investment to Medicine Hat, get business to bring their money here and jobs. As a member of City Council, how would you handle that?
We keep hearing how Calgary is about to become the next place where gaming developers are going to go. They're looking to rent out all of the empty buildings in downtown Calgary to gaming and tech companies so that they can work in these buildings. And because of the fact that they're huge empty buildings for the most part, they can be designed to have, you can live and work in the same building, although that would take some spectacular rezoning. Well, why not come to Medicine Hat? You can get an affordable place to live, maybe even build some more houses to house these people. But in order to bring business into Medicine Hat, you have to talk to the business. You have to take a few risks, and you have to pitch Medicine Hat as the place to come. And that would be something that a committee would need to be formed, and I would be happy to be part of that committee, where you're out there and you're reaching out to businesses and you're saying, just come and take a look. Come to Medicine Hat, see what we have to offer. Maybe not in winter, but even during the winter. You know, Bob Schneider, who's here with us working today on the switcher, Bob used to work with us, and Bob would always talk with me, as you did, about the unique weather in Medicine Hat because of the Cypress Hills. And boy, you know, we do have great weather in Medicine Hat. It's still 28, 29 degrees as we go into the first week of fall. And the winter, we didn't have that many minus 30 degree days last winter, but they do have all that in Calgary. So if you start to promote the fact that Medicine Hat has a great climate and a great winter and all of the benefits that this city sees, then I would think it would be easy for people to decide to bring their businesses here.
You mentioned the sunshine in Medicine Hat.
Yes.
That leads to my next question about the Samus Solar Project.
Yes.
Are you thumbs up, thumbs down?
We have spent so much money on this project, so much money, but we've approximately spent less than a tenth of the amount of money that it would cost in order to finish it. So my thoughts on this are, we need to not start over again, because we're too financially committed to this to start over again. But we need to have it all explained to the next council. And the next council needs to make a decision to, I won't say what I'm thinking, but what I'll say is fish or cut bait. I'm sure you can imagine what I was thinking. We need to fish or cut bait. And this is one of those things, whereas if it doesn't work, if it's not explained properly, if people aren't doing what they're saying they're going to do, then there might need to be job losses in this project. Because does Medicine Hat move forward and spend as much as $70 million on this project, already having committed approximately $7 million on it? I think it needs to be re-explained, and the decision needs to be made again by people who respect each other. This current council, whether they did or didn't get along or did or didn't like each other, is one of the reasons that maybe some of the decisions were being made. Oh, I don't want to agree with this person. I don't want to agree with that person. So once we get the next council and can hopefully get a group of people that you don't have to like everybody. You know, the people that you work with, the people that you work closely with, the people that are making decisions with you, you don't have to like them. But as long as there's respect and mutual respect there, you can make an informed decision. And that's what I think needs to be done here. I think we need to spend a lot of time talking about it, but we need to make a quick decision whether or not we move forward, whether we fish or cut bait.
Another decision that council is going to be faced with is a request for funding from the Medicine Hat Exhibition and Stampede Company. What would you do if you were in the seat?
The easy answer, and I remember the very first time that I started talking about this, I thought it was an easy give. You know, the Medicine Hat Stampede brings so much attention and brings so much money to the city. They need a new grandstand. Let's just give them a grandstand. But once you get into the nuts and bolts of this, the city of Medicine Hat doesn't spend a lot of time with the Stampede Board. They don't have a lot of advisors to the Stampede Board. The Stampede Board kind of does what it wants to do. It runs autonomously from the city of Medicine Hat. And so the city of Medicine Hat can't just cut the Stampede a check without having a little bit more to do. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the city of Medicine Hat should be deciding which musical acts come in, but it's all part of the profit center of the Stampede. So the Stampede needs to find a way to make more money at a time when people are spending less, and thus make that grandstand more viable and more affordable. And it means, I mean, it still, to me, seems like an easy yes, but there's so much political decisions that need to be made that the Stampede grounds, the Stampede, the Exhibition Society hasn't answered all of the questions yet that have been asked by City Council, the current council. So it's not an easy, it should be, but it's not.
Being a city councillor is almost a full-time job now.
Yeah.
You require a wide variety of background for people around that horseshoe. What in Dan Reynish's life experience qualifies him to have one of those 8 seats?
That's one of the greatest questions. And thank you for all of these questions that you're asking me. I can tell that you've thought them all out and you're actually interested in the answers. But one of the things that I think makes me a fit for council is the fact that everything in my life seems to have been building toward this. From in high school, I was elected one of the 7 civic officers for my graduating class. And that meant that we all worked together to help put the grad together. We put together a couple of parties and made sure that the safe grad went off without a hitch. And so this was a group of people from various parts of Summerside, Prince Edward Island, class of 86, Three Oaks Senior High. We all started working together. And then subsequently, my work with the Terry Fox Foundation, where I was the provincial director in Saskatchewan. We had an office of 3, but there were 600 volunteers at more than 40 runs across the province. And so many rules that Terry Fox himself set out, and you don't want to disrespect anything that Terry Fox set out. So we all had to follow Terry's rules and regulations. Can I buy this? No. You must get everything donated. Everything needs to be donated so that the more money that's donated goes to cancer research. I don't know if you know this, but on an average in Canada, for every dollar donated to a charity, less than 45 cents goes to that charity. There's some charities that take a 15% tax right off the top. The Terry Fox Foundation is 87 to 89 cents of every dollar goes, and that's because of their rules and regulations. And then the most recent job that I had at Chat TV, I don't know if you know this, but I used to work at Chat Television.
I heard a rumor.
We used to work at Chat Television. The last few years that I worked there, and I am in no way insinuating, hinting, or even stating that I did everything by myself. I did not. There was a team of 11 to 14 people that had to come together every day so that we could do 2 live television shows. And for the most part, the last little while that we were all there, I was leading that team. I was making sure that this group did that group did this, and that everything came together so that the viewers could see on air a smooth running television show. And again, it wasn't just me. I was the face of the show, but it was the group of people behind us that were doing it. And I wasn't a respected leader, but I wasn't, that didn't come out right. I wasn't an acknowledged leader by management. I wasn't paid to be a leader. I wasn't asked by management to step up, nor were you. But it was something that had to be done in order to make sure the show went off without a hitch. And so that's why I think that I deserve one of the 8 votes to sit on council, is the fact that everything that I've been doing my entire life, whether consciously or subconsciously, has seemed to be leading to this.
Dan Reynish, candidate for Medicine Hat City Council, October 20th. Thanks for your time, Dan.
Brian, it's one of those things that if people decide to vote for me, and I hope they will, I want to continue to make Medicine Hat accessible and a great place to live, because bottom line is I believe in Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat has been very good to me, and now I just want to keep giving back.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Brian.